This episode contains adult themes and is not appropriate for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, hey. Hi, it's Crystal, just sitting here in quarantine like you are. I again want to apologize for my last intro flub on Meredith. Ugh, so humiliating, but I'm glad I'm trying to move on, darn it. But thank you for sticking it out with me, and thank you for supporting me. This is our last episode for season 1, number 8. And I'm trying so hard not to get worked up as I am attempting to record over the phone for season 2. And it's just a little challenging because of the content so heavy and the lack of connection with a human being. It's just hard. We don't have a release date, but I'm hoping for July. I love you all so much for listening to all of this. It's not always easy to do, and thank you for emailing me and commenting and following. And I'm still manifesting our next step. You know, I don't know if we should do a Facebook group or a blog, but I will be in touch with updates on this, and I am open to what our listeners think. So, I mean, honestly, without your ears and hearing me right now, we would not have someone to heal with, to share with, which is why I wanted to do this in the first place. I just wanted you to know that you are not alone. The next one, Mandy. Oh my God. So Mandy's the person that emailed me to tell me that my intro was screwed up. Well, she was the first person. Thank you, Mandy, for that. I've saved Mandy's story for last. This one you're about to hear. Oh God. Standing witness to this story was an absolute extreme honor, and I cried a lot. I re-listened and I cried again. Like this one, guys, what she went through, it is so much for one person to take. And just thinking about it makes me tear up again. I didn't know Mandy when she came over to record. I found her through a trusted friend, and I didn't know what her story was. And this can be very tricky to navigate for both of us. And I didn't know Sophia. I didn't know Meredith either. And all these women just came on telling me their stories. We go into this, each of them, we went into this blindly together, and they trusted me, this stranger that I am, to navigate these waters with them, which is a beautiful, magical thing. It's important for you to know that when we recorded this was in December last year. And this trauma was really fresh for her. And much like Meredith, much like Lee, the narrative she told herself leading up to her discovery had been completely destroyed. And this can do a number on us as human beings. And Mandy, also like Lee, is a healer herself. Mandy is the founder of Embodied Integration. It's a healing methodology that helps people connect to the wisdom within themselves to help facilitate their own healing. It is deeply healing and is continuously evolving as a co-creative process with each person with whom Mandy works. Her work helps you to get the root of whatever trauma is residing in your body and helps you move through the process of acknowledging and shifting those patterns. In addition to personal energy sessions, Mandy does energetic space clearings of both homes and businesses. Mandy is a business owner. She owns a studio here, and her website is pilatespdx.com. And she has built her entire life on helping others heal their trauma in their bodies. So you can imagine how this affected her. I picked an MLK quote from Mandy, and I picked this quote because it's basically absolutely how I feel about what we recorded, and honestly, everything that we've recorded for this entire season. But for Mandy specifically, she's so in touch with her body, and she has known her whole life, which you will hear. She talks about this. She's had something going on with her throat. The fact that she came on to tell me her story. I picked this quote, and Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." I picked this quote because Mandy chose not to be silent anymore. She chose to not look away. And all of this you will hear as she discovered her story just last April. Her entire story of what she knew, her entire life changed in one night. And she chose not to be silent. She chose to jump into a giant ocean of trauma. And she is absolutely inspiring. She tells us the stages she went through of healing and feeling. And as she went through it, she bravely confronts her monster. I'm sorry, I'm crying. And my cat Marvin's probably going to come in and meow because I'm crying. The thing I love about Mandy is the fact that she is a body healer and she understands deeply that we carry all this trauma in our bodies and what it takes to release it. And I love that Mandy is forthright in her healing. I love that she still has this hilarious way of going about her daily life. She's never lost her sense of humor. I love that Mandy is a hard worker. You know, being a small business owner, you have to be. It's in her blood. And I love that she believes that her entire life she was building skills to deal with this discovery. She is confident in the tools that she has. And she's working so hard to heal herself. She's determined to heal. And she's not scared to feel it. She is intentional where she puts her energy. And she is brave and she is remarkable. Because Mandy's trauma was so fresh and so huge, and because even since we recorded in December, she has taken so much action to invest in herself. I will give you an update on the outro because I don't want to have any spoiler alerts. But Mandy's also going to come on for season 2 and give us some updates on her steps. And I hope that someone else that maybe feels stuck with their trauma can listen to Mandy's story and listen to the end. And I can tell you all these remarkable updates and the things that she's done. And I just hope that it helps others find a drive to heal and invest in themselves. Mandy, thank you for coming on and meeting me and sharing with me and with the world. I am honored to be so deeply connected to your discovery and to your trauma and to be recording your process through it. I'm through the roof excited for the rebirth of this person that you are discovering right now. And I can't wait to hear you on season 2. And I can't wait to hear more about your recovery. I absolutely love you. You have moved me and continue to move me with your determination to heal. Ugh, I didn't want to cry. Everything you've heard from our 8 guests are humans like you, humans trying to live their daily lives, right? Carrying the weight of their world. And I hope so much that you have found insight, passion, inspiration, and solidarity. And I hope that you can practice radical hospitality in your life. I love you. And as always, here we go. It's number 8. It's Mandy. Listen to this podcast, this recording, this story with an open heart, an open mind, and no judgment. I love you. Thanks for listening.
Well, I was born in Fargo, North Dakota.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never met a person from Fargo.
I am. I mean, so I was born there, but then when I was 6 months old, we moved to Maryland.
Whoa.
So I grew up in Maryland. But yeah, my
Wow.
parents were in Fargo when I was born. So
Interesting. What led them there?
graduate school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what part of Maryland?
Suburban Maryland.
Okay.
I mean, like between Washington and Baltimore.
Okay.
It's
Were they
just
into
the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True. Were your parents together when
My
you were born?
parents were together when I was
Okay.
born. My
Cool.
parents were together until I was 15.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a brother. He's 6 years older than I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 years older. So how was your childhood in Baltimore leading up to 15?
I mean, it was, it was good. The story that I've always told myself is that my childhood was great. And
Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
I've been uncovering some very different stories in the last 6 months. But
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Everything's been discovered in just the last 6 months for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I said, how was your childhood? Your narrative up until 6 months ago was that you had a great one?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's get to the discovery of
Yeah.
the thing. So
Yeah.
where were you when you first started remembering things that you had
So,
forgotten?
yeah. So I was in Peru in the middle of nowhere in the jungle. I was there doing an ayahuasca ceremony. Yeah. So I was in plant medicine ceremony. I got a very, very clear calling to go, and had been for a few years prior to actually going into the jungle. I had been sitting in ceremony every few months with a shaman. I just hadn't actually like gone into the jungle, and I had a really clear calling that I needed to go. So,
And what did that calling look like to you?
I mean, it was basically like my shaman saying, "Okay, we're going to the jungle in May." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to go. I have to do that." So I, put away all the excuses that I have that I use to not do things, and I was like, "Nope, these things are not legitimate. Like, listen and go."
Yeah.
I mean, it's like money a lot has been a thing that I've
Yeah.
used as like
Reasons.
But
yeah.
yeah, I did
Okay.
not allow myself.
Yeah, to talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
So, for people that do not know what this is,
Yeah.
can you explain it? Because there will be people that are like, "What does this mean?
What are you talking about? Yeah, so it is a plant medicine basically that you ingest, you drink it, and it is just this incredible, amazing, wise being that that moves into your body and helps you. I mean, it helps you heal. In terms of how it looks, sort of in the in the physical world, you sit in ceremony with shaman, and they sing, and it's in a dark space. I mean, at least the lineage that I have worked with, they do it at night, and there's a group of people, and you all have your buckets next to you because this it does make you puke generally. And it makes you, it all comes out. It comes out everywhere.
So it does. I have another friend that has experienced this.
Yeah.
Did everyone puke together?
I mean, sometimes, it's like all.
Yeah.
It's you never quite know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is the most. It's like years of healing in it, like packed into
It's crazy.
the tiniest, like hours. I mean, it's really, it just gets you in there, and it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't let you look away from what is
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you vomit, right?
Yes.
And are you by yourself besides your shaman, or are you with others that
you
knew?
So you're in. I mean, there were probably, how many people were in the jungle? There were probably like close to 30 people in the Maloka, which is what they call, the sacred space that you're in. But there's no communication between you and anyone else, so it's very solitary. You at some point during the ceremony are called up to the shaman's mat, and in the jungle I think there were like 5 or 6 shaman, and they were all native men.
Wow.
And just like I needed that land that we were on in Peru, and I needed that native masculine voice to like sing this out of me, or sing myself into this, I needed that. And I mean, like I said, for a couple years, I had been sitting in ceremony, locally, and getting deeper into what I felt was a wound in my heart. And so when I went into the jungle, I was like, okay, I want to explore this heart wound. I have no idea what this is. Like, I have no trauma. You know, my shaman would always be like, so did you have any childhood trauma? And I'd be like, no, none. I had no trauma. And it was this really like clear, rigid, hard no.
Yeah.
Because that's the story that I needed to tell myself.
And it's absolutely not abnormal to experience something and not remember.
Yeah, that's what I really know now. I mean, especially as this returns to me, because it does still, you know, probably it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had another memory come back. I mean, like I am very much in process with this big time.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a really intangible thing. I mean, it's
incredible that you had the balls to do it. Like I've not been able, or did I say balls? I did. Shoot. Damn it. Just gendered the whole thing. I've had like, it's again, one of those things that I've been like, I'm absolutely fucking horrified. Like I am.
Yeah.
Like, I am so scared of what you did. And it's amazing that you did it.
I was also like terrified. And after the first time I sat, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, after the first night, I was like, fuck this. I'm going home. Like, I am not doing this again. And we were like out. Anyway, long story short, I didn't go home. I stuck with it. I did it again. And I'm like, okay, this is my medicine.
So incredible.
Yeah, this is my medicine.
So you you vomit.
Yeah.
And then you start the hallucinations.
I mean, yeah,
right?
like you sort of never know when the vomiting's going to happen. You also like it comes out both ends. It's you know, yeah. And sometimes there are hallucinations and sometimes there aren't, you know, like I think it was either the night I think it was the night that my memories came back. It was this totally like physical experience. Like I was just physically in my trauma body, just like, you know, just rocked with it, just feeling it. So it's like every single ceremony is entirely different. And
for each person, it's just different.
That's right.
Yeah. Everyone's experience is their own, of course. Yeah. Yes. So what did you first see?
Oh, yeah, it's so, I'm like, yeah, let me just tell you, it's so awful. Well, so, I mean, let me preface it by saying that really one of my shaman, so I went into the jungle with 2 shaman who I had sat with many times before, and they, you know, they have a relationship with this place in Peru. They helped found it. And so I went with them. And they were sort of helping, you know, they did great integrative work when we weren't sitting in ceremony. So we did this writing exercise the day before, I guess it was the day before I uncovered my first memories. And they had me write to myself from my sadness. And what came out was, I mean, and they didn't tell me to write from sadness. They had me find an emotion in my heart, and that was the one that was very clearly there. What came out was just I didn't even know what to do with it. Like I was like, I don't know where all this sadness is from. Like, holy shit, that's a lot of sad. And so one of my shaman was like, I want to sit and talk to you about this, because he was immediately like, are you sure there's no trauma? And again, I was just like, nope. So we sat down and talked, and you know, the story, one of the stories that I've told myself is I'm highly sensitive. I'm really, really sensitive. I'm a healer. I pick up a lot of information. And so the story I've told myself is I was really, really sensitive as a child, and so felt very overwhelmed. And so I think that was traumatic to me. So that was the story that I told. And I said that to him, and he was like, yes, I'm not saying that's not true, but I also think there's a trauma. And when he said it, my throat just like closed up and my eyes started to well with tears. And he was like, how does that make you feel? And I was like, I think you might be onto something. And the word I used was bewildered. It makes me feel bewildered. It just like that terrifies me. I don't even know what to do with that. So he was like, talk to your little girl in ceremony tonight. Sit with your little girl, because what had been happening for about a year prior to me going into the jungle and discovering this was I just cried in ceremony. I cried and cried and cried. And what I knew was that it was my little girl that was crying. And I was like, I don't know why she's crying. I don't know what she has to cry about. I don't know. So he was like, talk to her. Like, you have a good relationship with her. Talk to her and
Oh my God.
ask her, you know? And so that's what I did. I just like sat there and held her, and then I just sort of knew, and I said, who did this to you? And she said, Daddy.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I had the feeling, and then I was like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Holy shit. So then what did you do? Oh my God.
So, I mean, that first night was just like, lots of like, I mean, in terms of how it came back, it was a lot of imagery, like big dick in the face, you know, like just like
Mandy.
awful, horrible.
Oh man, this is getting me. I'm sorry. I can't keep it together.
No, it's okay. I don't know how I am, actually.
So, I'm sorry.
No.
So you just start getting imagery?
Yeah. So that first night, lots of imagery. I mean, yeah. Sorry, it's so awful.
No, don't. Please don't apologize.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know why I'm having this insane reaction. I usually have like compose it a little.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. It's like I just can't imagine.
Yeah, it's so horrible.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I was 3.
You were 3 at the time.
I was 3 at the time. Yes.
How old are you now?
43. So.
Okay, so you have imagery of dick.
I have imagery of dick. Yeah. Exactly. And of a young version of my father masturbating. Lots of that. So lots of like, big dick in the face and like seeing him masturbating. And I mean, I was just like, no, this can't be. Like, no, maybe this was just once. Like, he must not even know. Like, I was like,
you're making it up or something.
Exactly. Like, I was like, there is no way.
Talking yourself out of it.
Completely.
I would too.
I was like, this is not possible. This is.
Of course.
Yeah. So that was the first night. I mean, just like, ugh.
That was the first
night. That was like me.
God.
Yeah. That was me remembering. And then I went in the next night. So I sat for 6 nights in the jungle. So the next ceremony night, I think I had like maybe a day off in between, which was lovely. My intention going in the next night was like, I just need more information. Like, I don't even know what to do with this. Exactly.
What was that?
What was that? I need more information. I don't. Yeah. What was that? How could this possibly be?
So do you drink it every night, or do you? It's because it's one time and then it lasts.
You do drink it every night. Yes, you do drink it every night. Although what happens is, when you're drinking it, so when you drink it, number one, you're on a really special, very restricted diet.
Yes.
Like no oils.
Cleanse, essentially.
You're totally, exactly, because that's what helps your body
absorb. Yep, got it.
So, and it builds up in your system, so it's like if you've been drinking for several nights, like it heightens. I mean, it's already there. So, but yes, you do drink it every night that you sit in ceremony. So my like more information night was the one where I was just like in my trauma body. And what I came away from that night with was, okay, this was not a one-time thing. This was really pervasive.
Ugh.
This was my childhood. Like, this happened so many times. Like, this, I mean, and it explained so much. I mean, it was this bright light on everything. I was like, oh, that's why this, that's why that. I mean, it's just like it completely contextualized me.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've always been like, what is my deal? Like, why do I have such insecurity? What is the root of this? Like, I'm fine. Nothing ever happened to me. Why do I have these like deeply rooted insecurities? And I mean,
And you're a healer yourself.
and I'm a healer. And that was another thing.
How are you not able to figure it
contextualized.
out? Right.
Yeah. I mean, my hands are literally attracted to trauma. Like, my hands are like trauma magnets.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, makes a lot of sense now that I realize how much buried trauma I have in me. Like, oh, yeah, of course, like attracts like, you know?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
As we sit here in the same room.
Here we are.
I know. But you're right. I mean, you've had your whole path of wanting to get in it and attracted to trauma.
Yeah.
And wanting to find ways to I don't want to say fix, but,
Well,
just help.
Facilitate.
Just, facilitate, be in the present, hang out in it.
Yeah.
Get comfortable with it. And then you've also felt insecure your whole life.
Yes, like deeply insecure. I mean, and just, gosh, so many. And the other thing is, I mean, it's been a lifetime process, but really in the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, maybe even less, my voice has been a thing that, I mean, I used to, when I spoke my truth, I couldn't do it without my voice shaking and like almost coming to tears. And that was like, I'd be in a room full of like people who loved me, like totally safe.
Yeah.
And like, and not saying like anything, like just speaking my truth from my heart, like my voice shook. And I was always like, what is your deal with that? You know, like, why are you so scared to speak your truth? And I mean, of course, like, I have good reason for all of me, you know, like, and mostly I have just the most immense gratitude for my little warrior child who just locked that shit down and was like, all right, girl, let's do this. Like, you're a survivor. Like, you've got this. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. So you were sitting in your body, like and just traumatized because you realized it was more than once and it was a lot. I'm imagining
it was a lot. And it was, you know, the second night of remembering was, there was some imagery, but mostly it was just like, I just was feeling all this. I mean, it was like through my whole nervous system, you know, just like my body acknowledging all of the trauma in all of my cells. Like, it was rough. It was rough. And then, I mean, just so much sadness, just of like, this is my dad. Like, I mean, I mean, I understand why I couldn't know what he did to me until now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. But it's your
but
dad
it's
and it's
my
your narrative
dad.
and your story just changed.
All of it's just like,
it just blew up.
Blown up completely. Like, shifted, turned it on its head. Like,
yeah.
It's,
holy shit. I cannot. So did you get an opportunity through that experience to heal?
I mean, I definitely began healing, you know?
Yeah. Because you saw the truth, which is healing in itself.
Right? I mean, exactly.
Also terrible, but also a part of the healing process.
Yeah.
This acceptance.
Acknowledgement. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it was, I mean, I'm so grateful for everything,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
really, like so
Yes.
grateful.
Yeah.
Um,
And that shaman knew. Like,
he's amazing.
holy
Yeah. Yeah. He was like,
knock, knock,
nice
knock.
try, Mandy.
Yeah.
But
Something's there.
get underneath that, girl.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
so what did you do? I don't even, what does somebody do when you experience this? It was a week long.
Yeah. I was
Essentially.
in the jungle for 10 days. But yeah, I sat for 6 nights. It was a week long. I mean,
Oh my God.
in the midst of it, like I think it was maybe a few days after. So I reached out to my best friend. I called my best friend from the jungle because I just like needed like my people.
Yes, of course.
So I reached out to her. I talked to her. I also reached out to my husband and talked to him. And I mean, that poor man. Good
oh
Lord.
my God.
Like, I can't even imagine receiving that phone call, right? Like
Either best
for
friend,
either of
husband,
them.
either.
I know. They're just like in complete shock, obviously.
Yeah.
What did I do? I mean, I just tried to integrate as much as I possibly could and soak up as much as I possibly could while being there. And yeah, in a couple of the ceremonies, one of the ceremonies, I don't remember which one, I wrote so many. I mean, like I think one of them, I wrote so many letters in my head to my father. I think first it was like I think the first one that came was just like rage, you know, just like oh my gosh, so much rage and just like and then I got past that and I think the next one was just like sadness. So many letters in sadness. And then I wrote I actually wrote out. I think the first time that I wrote out on paper was on the plane coming back. I just in a journal I wrote my first letter to him. Like put it into the tangible world and got it out of my head. I mean, and I've written many. I sent one. I sent it actually, I ended up sending it the same day that I sent my stepmother's birthday card because that's just how the fucking timing worked out. And I was like, whatever, dude. Not a birthday card. Sorry about that. Not sorry.
It's your time and it matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent that letter to him basically. Well, okay, let me back up a minute.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
I have a question. Your parents split when you were 15.
Mm-hmm.
So as from 15 to now,
mm-hmm.
Is your mother still alive? Is she still with us?
My mother is still alive and amazing and phenomenal. And that's just the most brilliant gift to me and the planet. I mean, truly. Oh, that woman. She is a treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So grateful for her.
Oh, that's really sweet to say about your mom, and that made me cry too. I'm rough today. Oh my God. So your father, up until 6 months ago, how was your relationship?
Up until 6 months ago. So it's interesting. Over the last several years, I have been unconsciously distancing myself from him. And I mean, I realize now that I think it's been in preparation for this, for my discovery.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting, when I was, let's see, let me just like find a few little snippets here. First of all, when my parents divorced, I thanked my mom for this because number one, she took me away from him. And number two, she gave me a reason to be angry at him. And I was so angry at him when that happened. And it it let me like express anger.
Something.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was wonderful. But, that was maybe just a year or two. And when I was like in my early 20s, my relationship with my father was so like so entangled. Like he would come out to visit me on the West Coast and like I would drive away from the airport after dropping him off just like crying. Like it was just a
It was heavy.
It
sounds like
really
heavy and intense.
heavy. And like just so entangled. Like I just felt like so enmeshed with him. And I realized that and I feel like with my mother, as I've become an adult, I've really developed so much more of a relationship with her. And I think he really poisoned me to her. Like very, very subversive, like not in obvious ways, but in the last several years, and I think really maybe since I met my husband, which was 7 years ago.
Okay.
Since I've been with him, I think that was maybe when I started pulling away from my father. Again, just like not consciously, but just unconsciously distancing myself. And one thing that I always find really interesting is the first time that my husband met my father, it was before I was married to my husband. He was like, "Your father is terrified of you." And I was like, okay,
Whoa.
I don't know why that
But
would
he perceived
be.
that.
He perceived that. He was just like, he's terrified of you. Like he's, and after he said that, I just was, I reflected on it and I was
Yeah.
like, man, yeah, what is that? And
Yeah.
also every time I have seen him for the last several years, like, it's like, he's heavier. He's got more guilt. He's got more shame. And I'm like, what is the deal? Like, what is all this shit this guy is carrying around? I mean,
And it was hard for you. Like it sounds like your mom's like your relationship with your mom was just easy
It's so
and
good.
love and unconditional and
Yes,
just and your dad
totally.
was just for your whole life was hard.
Yeah, but weird. Like, also, I had a whole like daddy, like I was daddy's girl, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I realized here's another thing is like I realized that he used money as a means of control. So he would just he gave me money, and he gave it to me in ways that it was like he gave me more money than my mother did every month when I was in college, and it was like he just gave it to me, and it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I guess I just shouldn't say anything because I'm getting more money. You know what I mean? Like just like weird ways to be like, oh, we just don't talk about this.
Yeah. White dudes.
Yeah.
Old white dudes. The pattern of money and power. But
right?
like because it's
Yeah. So a few years ago I was like, I should really just not take any money from him anymore. And I stopped doing that, and that felt great.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, anyway, here I am now.
Right.
That's a long answer.
So, but no, it's perfect. So your relationship was strained, and you've always felt, it sounds like when I hear you talk, it sounds like forced, like something was like this weird forced, and you knew it was there. Like you knew that there was something, you just couldn't figure out what it was. You knew,
yes.
but you didn't know what it was.
What's
crazy.
What's interesting too is that my daughter, my children know about this. I got back from the jungle and did not tell them immediately because I had so much to process. But
of course,
they obviously knew something was up because I canceled it. My father and stepmother were supposed to be coming to visit us like a month after I got back from the jungle, and I was like, hell no, that's not going to work. So I just sent an email that was like, that's not going to work for me. I've uncovered some really disturbing memories, and I need to not have any contact with you.
Wow.
So my kids knew something was up. And once I got to the point, and my son actually asked me about it a few times, like, what is up with you and Pop? And I was like, you're right. Something's up. I'm going to tell you about it when I'm able to tell you about it. So anyway, I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is something I have processed through enough so that I'm not asking them to hold anything for me. And I told them. And one of the things my daughter said pretty immediately was like, I always felt something was off between you guys. Like, she was like, there's just always something a little like weird and just like, ugh. Yeah. I was like,
Interesting.
of course you did, girl.
Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
you're amazing
Yes.
and very sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you canceled the trip.
Yeah.
And
Cancel the trip.
And then how soon is the stepmother's birthday in the letter?
And then, so it was 2 months later. 2 months later, I wrote the letter. Yeah.
And you called him out?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, you're a badass.
I mean, except the funny thing is, so yeah, I called him out. But I didn't like graphically go into detail about the things that he did to me.
Often we don't.
Yeah. Because I was like, I mean, is that necessary? So, and what I said to him was, or one of the many things I said to him was, I don't want to hear from you on the phone or over email. You can write me a letter if you want to communicate with me. Because I can totally control that, Like, I can control when I read a letter. And so that's fine. This is the way that you can communicate with me.
Such a good response. Such a good boundary for yourself. Oh my God. So good.
God, this whole thing has been like such an exercise in creating boundaries. I mean, and I understand now why, as a young adult, I had no ability to do that for myself. Like, because my boundaries were just completely shat on as a child, obviously.
You didn't know.
No.
You did not know.
Yeah, exactly.
You did not know.
Exactly. So I have not heard from him since I wrote that letter.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What I have heard, so my brother asked my mother. So I told my mom pretty immediately after I got back. I called her. She lives in England. So, I talked to her and she was just horrified and shocked and like same as me.
Yeah.
Like she just
can only imagine that nightmare call. Yeah.
Right? Oh my.
It's a nightmare. That is also her nightmare.
Completely.
Also her. Oh God.
I know.
I can't.
I know. I cannot even. Ugh. Exactly. And so, she knew, and my brother and I love my brother dearly, but we're not super close. We're very, very different human beings. We don't talk very often. He's not like a part of my support system. So kind of the place that I have come from with this is like, I don't feel like I need to tell people who will be affected by this, by their having their own relationship with my father, unless it's like they're my people and I need to tell them for myself. Like I was like, I don't need to tell him for me, and I don't really want to fuck with his. I mean, it's not information that you can unhear once you've heard it. No matter what you decide to do with the information.
And the information is constantly jaded with expectations. And like, even though you don't want to set expectations, there's just you can't control the next step. And you have to be so like almost impossibly ready just to say it and then just give it to the universe and just hope that it's hard. That's such a hard thing.
Yeah. I mean, so I sent that letter with zero expectations.
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
you have to. You have to.
Right? I mean, I think I said like, I would appreciate an acknowledgement, but I don't expect one. And I have no idea if I will ever be able to have a relationship with you again. Currently, I still have no idea. Like, I'm like, pretty much where I'm at right in this very moment. Hell no. I can't imagine like coming anywhere near that man. My father showed this to my brother and he's like, I don't know what this is about. I don't know what she's talking about. So didn't like write me a letter to say that, like, but whatever. So my brother talked to my mother and was like, what's Mandy writing this 4-page letter to Dad about? What is this? And my mom was like, you should talk to Mandy if you want to,
Thank God she said that.
Right?
Yes. Like, why is this the triangulation of all the things? It enrages me. I just want to set things on fire when people do that shit. Like, quit talking. directly to the human
Yes.
being that you
Right?
need to get information from. It's all the time in our society. I have no idea.
It's crazy.
Constant.
I
over
know.
the dumbest things. Anyway, so
my brother reached out to me and was like, I'd love to hear your story, and
wow.
we set up a time to talk. And before I told him, I was like, are you sure you want to hear this story? Because it's not pretty.
That's very thoughtful of you.
I love my brother, and I don't,
Right.
like he lives near the guy. Like he's gonna have to deal with this guy. Like, I just want to make sure, like, are you, this is a yucky story.
Yeah.
But, I told him, and he, was amazing and wonderful. And, I think, the one part of the conversation that I had with him where I cried was just like thanking him for reaching out to me and for,
it makes me cry instantly.
right?
Like that's, in that he was supportive.
That he supported me. I know.
So rare.
Because I honestly was like, he could easily just be like, my sister is crazy. My father is a saint. Like, this is because he very much has built that image of himself. He's like a holier than thou figure in our family. It's very much a patriarchy. Everybody worships him. Like, it's really, he's done a very good job of crafting his image.
Baby boomers.
Yeah.
They're amazing at it.
Yeah.
Like denial and flush everything or stick it under the rug.
Right. So much shadow. It's
crazy. So, okay. So your brother, that's amazing. That
he's the best. Like, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That story usually doesn't go that way.
I definitely, that was not my expectation.
That's so cool.
Not that I want to say I had like clear expectations, but I did, of course, think like, okay, well, this could happen or this could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to him on Thanksgiving. We didn't talk about
right.
But that's the only time I've talked to him since then. After we had that like crazy heavy conversation, he was like, all right, well, I need to process this. Obviously, we'll talk again. Like, I love you,
So as you, I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but we don't think that it happened to him.
I have no idea.
I'm sure you've asked yourself that question.
So many times. I have no idea. I don't know. It's like telling him and telling my mom, like, when I told him, I was like, I understand that hearing this does not intellectually compute. The only reason I am able to know this is because it's in my body and I have the memories of it, And then I also can like draw the little line to like the year I spent when I was 7 years old with constant strep throat and having to get my tonsils out because they, had grown to the size of golf balls. Just like the trauma, the physical trauma that I had in my body as a child, like my body being like, help me. There's some really fucked up shit happening to me.
Yes.
I don't know if I have no idea. And I don't even want to surmise because
no, you can't.
I can't.
You can't.
All I know is my truth and my reality. And I don't know.
And others' truth are others' truth.
Yeah,
that's just what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I also know that, good Lord, I had to go into the middle of nowhere to uncover this truth. And I have done so much deep work to get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
you can only control your own path.
Yeah.
Yep. That's really what it comes down to. So to this day, your father hasn't had any contact with you? So what about your stepmom?
What's interesting is she sent me a text to say thank you for the birthday card. And here's what I will say. He sent me a birthday card, which was 3 weeks after I sent the letter. He sent me a birthday card that just was like a regular birthday card that he would normally send. He sent my husband a birthday card, same thing. From both my stepmother and my father. So, it's like he's operating from this place of like, don't exactly know where he's operating from. I mean,
yeah. Well,
I believe that his shadow is, I mean, his shadow is so dark, but I also believe it's so obscured from him. Like I 100% believe that he consciously has no idea of the horror that he inflicted upon me. I think that's very true. I think that's very true. I don't know at this point. Like I've wondered if I should write another letter to him, and I have like crafted other letters without sending them and just like laying it out. Like, just I heard you don't know what happened.
here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me graphically explain it to you. But then I'm like,
I know.
What's the purpose of that? Like, to me, obviously something horrible happened to that human being. You know, like this doesn't form out of nothing. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Someone did terrible things to him.
Yes.
And again, I can only surmise. I don't know who did that. I don't know what that story is, but neither does he.
No.
And this was how he, you know, like, and I don't need to give him any more misery. I also, like, at this point, don't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like I will be able to have a much better relationship with him when he's dead. Like, when he's dead, I'll be able to talk to him and, you know, like, repair whatever needs to be repaired. But like, as a human being, like, I don't know. Forgiveness is not something, I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I don't know.
I think, you know, it's funny that you mentioned forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's a thing that I just don't know either. Like, it's a constant cop out. Like, sometimes I get enraged by forgiveness because I'm like, we were taught to forgive. Women specifically are constantly asked to just forgive.
Yeah.
I'm so over the forgiveness thing. Like, there's other ways than forgiveness. Why do we constantly have to coddle down to whatever the situation is and just learn to forgive them to find peace? Like, there's other things you can do to still find peace.
Yeah. It's almost ingenuine. Like, finding forgiveness from a place of just for forgiveness sake it's not genuine. I mean, it's not genuine for me right now. Like, I'm like, I wish I could.
I know, and it's very Christian like it's very Christian and you know, like it's that old world way. And like, I don't know, but I know it also offers so many people an element to be able to feel again and live again. And I respect that.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm constantly like, it's not for me.
I mean, I feel like the concept, I'm like, yes, I get it. And I understand that it could ultimately be liberating. However, it does have to really be genuine, or otherwise it's just like a veneer. It's just painting something over something ugly, you know? And I'm like just in the ugly right now.
Right,
like,
you're still in the ugly, for sure.
That's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long I'm going to be there.
Have you, what things are working for you right now? Like, therapy-wise, are you doing anything? And what have you found that other people might be able to, you know, use?
I am currently on a list for a group, for a sexual abuse survivor group that this woman runs, a closed group that she currently has one running, but she's going to start a new one in 2020. And I am like psyched for that to start.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do a few sessions with her. She's just a counselor and she also does art therapy. And I think I'm going to see her privately and do a few sessions, because my current thing that I'm running through and sort of hitting up against is, again, like integrating the intellectual processing of the fact that this is what happened with, with everything that I know that happened, with the memories and with the physical trauma. So I've done some work with a brilliant core energetics healer. That's like, it's a type of energy work, and it's amazing. Cleared like all the trauma out of my throat. Like, had this like,
the throat's a thing for you.
The throat is a thing. I had a dick shoved down my throat.
Oh, God.
Yeah, a lot of dick in my throat. So, yeah, throat is totally a thing. And I had this amazing session where I literally screamed no. And it was like, oh my God.
My God.
Like everything changed. It was amazing. So I've done like some different energy work. Actually, I have another energy healer. So, I'm kind of dabbling. I just started working with this Alexander practitioner / body worker who helped. My pelvis, I saw her for the first time last week, and I have never felt my pelvis the way it feels right now. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's me in there. Like, it's amazing.
The discovery of yourself that you're just dabbling into.
I know.
Because of the trauma. Like I know it's stupid
it's crazy,
to say,
right?
but you're finding yourself.
I am.
And you're
40 years later.
I know.
But I'm so grateful.
Yes.
So grateful.
Yes, because there's so many people that have never uncovered the rock.
I know.
And they die.
I know.
Like your dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
Like my dad. I know.
That have no truth, that can't feel their body, that don't know.
It's really sad. It's
Yeah,
really sad. And that's
so
basically like
sad.
what I take
for them,
away
but not
from-
for you. Like that's
not
like
for
it's
me.
it's incredible that you get to that you even figured it out.
Yeah.
And that you get to have your future and the things coming up and getting to know yourself again.
Yeah.
And a rebirth.
Totally.
It's a rebirth.
I mean, I feel just immensely blessed. So blessed. So blessed.
I don't think I've ever heard a story like this, Mandy. Like I don't think I've ever heard someone that, especially so fresh.
Yeah.
You're a badass for talking about. It's very fresh.
Yeah.
It is. You're in the baby, like you're crawling phase of getting
I
out of it.
I'm just crawling.
And that's good.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for creating this platform and this forum. Because when I responded to your email the first time and I immediately started crying and I was like, okay, that's a yes, like, clearly that's something I need to do. I mean, it's brilliant. And like I said, my voice has been a big thing. So me
putting your voice out
using
there,
my voice to tell my story. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Like it's kind of personal, but, because of the patterns of many women specifically that have had childhood assaults essentially on them, just because there's so many, sadly.
Yeah.
Did you find your choices in partners in your 20s, in your teens? Like, what was that like for you so other people can connect to that? Because like, I don't want to say, I don't want to assume because it goes either way.
Totally.
Right? But it's usually divided.
I mean,
so what side of the fence were you on with that? Like,
sexually,
who were you?
What's interesting is, number one, my husband likes to joke about this. Like I have deflowered a lot of or several different men / boys. So that's an interesting thing. Like that innocence was something that was very attractive to me when I was young. I mean, it's been a while since I've deflowered anyone, but
right. You never know what the future holds.
I mean, I'm open.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So funny. That's interesting. Like patterns. Like there's always some.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also, I have had partners who have had childhood sexual trauma, which I was always like, that's interesting that I would, since I had no trauma at all. And I literally like have made that statement. Like, it's so interesting that you had this since I had no sexual trauma. Like I was not sexualized at an early age. Like I've just like, the walls that I built for myself, these clear, like, I mean, they were really strong. Like, just like, nope.
And there were like there were multiple partners that had that. Oh, magnet.
Right?
Crazy.
I mean, totally. Isn't that crazy? I just think like, what the, I mean, of course. Like, yes, that is, that's what we do. that's how we grow is we have these things reflected at us. And I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, like we can't look at it until we're ready to look at it, but
Mhm.
it's really good to finally be able to look at it and be in
Yeah.
it.
And you've had everyone believe you,
Yeah.
which is
Which
great.
is amazing.
It's so great.
And I was really prepared for my
God.
brother to just
Mandy, 5
write
years
me
ago,
off.
think about the same thing happening to you 5 years ago.
Right? I know,
Like,
right? No,
that's
it's
when I get
true.
overwhelmed by the movement of everything because I'm like, that's
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah.
that you've had that. And who has helped you the most? Like, who is, or people? It doesn't have to be isolated.
My husband,
Mm.
clearly, good Lord, like what an angel he is to me. I can't even imagine because like I am fucked up. Like this shit
Yeah.
fucked me up, and he
course.
is like he's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, he's amazing. And my mom,
yeah.
you know, like, and honestly, my daughter too. And it's not
Yeah.
like, it's not like I've really leaned on her or it's been too much,
Right.
but man, she's just like this stalwart support. She's like, yeah, she's my,
Ugh,
yeah,
that's incredible.
yeah,
That's incredible
yeah,
that you've had. Yeah, there. I get. A lot of survivors we compare, right?
yeah,
The other
yeah.
survivor or the other assault in strange ways.
Yeah.
And so I can hear and feel other people that will hear this be like, "Oh, she's lucky."
I am,
But you're still
so
not lucky, Mandy.
Well,
like I'm here to tell you, it's still all terrible. Like, and to remind
yes.
everyone that it's still terrible. It's just relative to what your story is and your path.
Totally.
And it is, to me, that's like in my mind, I'm like, this is forever. This is the future. This is how it should be.
Yes.
The experience of being believed.
Totally.
You know?
And so I mean, one of the things that I'm most grateful for in this is I have the ability to help other people. That's what I do. And I'm just like, please come and let me help you. Like, I understand what this is. And like, yeah, I want to help other people through it. So.
Yeah, and you are already.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as promised, here's an update on Mandy. Mandy's found an amazing practitioner and body worker to work with her, helping her unlock and deal with all of the trauma in her body. She's continued uncovering memories, and there, of course, there's so many layers, there's so much trauma, but she's feeling incredibly safe and supported by her healer, her friends, and her family. Mandy also attended a survivors group of a sexual assault. It was a closed support group that she found incredibly helpful, all until COVID, that is. But Mandy said, just to have the safe space and community of others who have a deep understanding of what she's going through, she has found extremely helpful. Support groups work. And the biggest thing that I think is just so badass is Mandy changed her name. And Mandy said she found it hugely empowering. And she's feeling more at ease in her own skin every single day. Such a badass, Mandy. Congratulations on your rebirth. I'm just so excited to have you on again on season 2. To find Mandy, her personal Instagram is Mandy Tigra. And I'll have all of the information I'm about to give you on our website, all over social media. Mandy Tigra. Her business Instagram is Body Mechanics PDX. Her business website that is doing online classes right now, it's Pilates PDX. And Mandy's nonprofit choice, such a beautiful choice. They're called the Joyful Heart Foundation. They are in New York City. Their mission is to transform society's response to sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse, and support survivors' healing and end this violence forever. They started a blog that I looked up called endthebacklog.org. It's the only website wholly dedicated to ending the rape kit backlog, and they shed light on the powerful results of testing rape kit evidence and draw attention to the political and financial changes necessary to achieve comprehensive rape kit reform. It's such a badass thing, just like Mandy. My nonprofit choice forever is Rahab Sisters, rahabsisters.org. To all of the guests I've had on, Rachel, Sophia, AJ, Lee, Dan, Anna, Meredith, and Mandy. You are all remarkable and you're all brave humans, and to share your story with the whole world is just applaudable. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Each one of you separately has made an impact on my life and my perception, but mostly my heart. I love you all so much. To Niraj Srinivasan, thank you for being my brother in this, dude. Sorry about my manic texts and calls at 6 a.m. randomly, and thanks for being this like adorable millennial brown man that believed in my mission enough to help me. You're a good man, dude. You make me laugh, and I love you. And to the listeners, I'll post an update when we get close to release, and I'll keep our social media going. Please share if you like this podcast. Tell people about it. Word of mouth is huge. Please contact me if you have a story, if you have thoughts, anything. To the 100 people that download each week, can't even believe it. Or even to the first-time listener, thank you for taking the time to listen to someone else's story. It matters. All trauma matters. And you matter. Stay safe, stay home, and as always, lead with compassion and kindness. I love you.